All right.
All right, we're back. I want to do an official intro, although I don't have one, but let's just do one
Okay.
just for funsies. Let's do like, welcome to the Formula Juan podcast. I think that's the intro we always do. And then there's two of us, the titular Juan on that side of the screen,
Howdy.
and then me, the brother. It says Carlos, but I feel really weird about which name I should use. Is it Carlos? Is it Carlos Julian? Is it
Julian.
Julian?
Yeah. I don't know.
But
I call you brother.
yeah, I know.
That's
So
my
Carlos,
mhm.
most people at work and professional wise know me as Carlos, but it feels weird even for me to say
Yeah.
my own name.
Well, I don't want to get too derailed into this conversation, but I don't feel the most Juan that there's ever been. I actually identify more with my Felipe middle name, but at a point in my life, I just had to quit it. Like I think at the time that I started college and I moved to Minnesota, I had to quit that. I had to because like everybody, I had to tell Juan, but I like being called Felipe. I was like, no, just call me Juan, whatever, So it
All right.
became my name.
Now let's get started on this Formula Juan podcast.
Yes,
The
let's do it.
rising number one of Formula Juan. Okay, we just had a really great race, Austria,
Yeah.
in the Red Bull Ring. And we're just gonna jump right into it. I'm just gonna ask you some intense questions. I'm
Well,
gonna go right into the topics.
Right before that, I was gonna say, and I don't want. Well, you know what? No, I'll wait. Go ahead.
Let's go right into the topics. Just critical questions, controversial ones. You tell me.
All right.
Is Ferrari back?
They're probably in a good morale state. I think that's kind of what they needed. They have had a lot of bad luck, and they just needed to get through the bad luck. And I think they can start getting into a rhythm. If they can actually start getting into a rhythm, they should be good. I know they had an incident with Carlos Sainz. He couldn't finish the race, but I think Ferrari is slowly galloping back into like a good form, and I think it's a good thing. I
They've
think it
won the
might be
past two races.
yeah, and I think it's a little also premature to say, but it's looking good. It's looking good for them. Like they have a really competitive car.
We're halfway through the season. Like, can they make it back? Should Ferrari we're halfway through the season. Should Ferrari now really prioritize one driver over the other? Like, finally.
Probably because I think the gap between Leclerc and Sainz it just keeps growing. Like now, I think now it's like over 2 races worth of points. I believe.
I think Sainz is 75 points behind Verstappen, but I don't know about Charles.
Well, Charles is like 30 points behind Verstappen.
Oh, yeah.
39 or 38, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should Ferrari prioritize and just like tell Sainz, I'm sorry, bro.
I think
Charles
it's
all the way.
It's not so much also that Sainz can catch up to Leclerc. That's not it entirely. It's the fact that Leclerc needs to try to catch up to Verstappen. And if you just keep giving like Sainz will never catch up to Verstappen, So Sainz is not in contention anymore. The only one in contention really is Leclerc. Like Sainz will never catch up Verstappen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in here, the 2 second drivers, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz. Now they just should focus about playing the team game.
Oh, no, I didn't say Perez. Perez is still in the competition. Perez has enough points to try to catch Max. That being said, Red Bull are not going to do that. They understand who the better driver is and they're just committed to it. They don't see it as a problem. I mean, for 2 years, Verstappen just completely destroyed the second driver, just completely. To the point that he made a lot of people think the Red Bull was useless, except for Verstappen. And now that they have a guy, that can at least deliver some, but they understand that Verstappen is still the lead driver. Like he's not gonna stop winning. He's in the best shape that he's been in a while, and in the best car that he's been in a while. So I don't know. I think they just understand that, but Ferrari doesn't. On the other hand, like Ferrari will second doubt whether Leclerc should like take the position from Sainz when he's obviously going faster and probably like facing like the championship, you know. So I mean, I don't know. It's how it goes, but we're like pretty much halfway through the season.
Were you scared when this virtual safety car came out for Carlos Sainz that they were not gonna pit Leclerc?
Yes. And actually I like we both here celebrated because I was like, oh my god, they took the balls. Yes, they knew they had to be for once they were able to have like the full certainty that like Leclerc, even if he pitted and Verstappen didn't, that he was gonna have the pace to pass him anyways. And so I think that's why they pitted him, because they finally figure out, they saw the pace difference and they were like, yes, this looks good enough to pit. And they did it. And so it paid off. It's like a little bit of change in strategy. Maybe it just again works in their favor. It just gives them a little bit of morale to think that like, okay, we can do some right decisions, which they need. They need that, you know, determination to like, you know, or reaffirmation that like they're not like that. They're just like in a little bit of a slump.
Yeah, I do think that, I don't know if they want to do their own, what is it called? Do you know the whole Six Sigma sort of
the
business thing? Like
operations, like efficiencies.
Yeah, so like you allow things to just occur currently as they are, and then like when something goes wrong, then you establish a new preventive measure so that thing doesn't go wrong. So I don't know if Ferrari have done that. Like they really need a guy in every single race that analyzes if there's a safety car right now. Can we pit?
Yeah.
If so, which are the best tires? And can our guy in the occasion, in the situation that the opposite team doesn't pit, can we overtake them? They need to have a guy, and it needs to be there every lap, just every lap. What happens if a safety car now? What happens if a safety car now? And that like, guy needs to be just constantly on it.
Just like his entire job, nothing else. Like, you know, they're gonna pay him like $300K just to sit there and like do that. That's because that's what wins races. I mean, if Ferrari is me, I mean, the fast car helps, but like you also lose fucking races if you don't strategize well, and like they're missing that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at least this race they did a good job.
Yeah, and that person just needs to get paid. Like I don't know how it works currently in Formula One. I don't know if it's like just one guy or if it's multiple engineers or whatever. There just needs to be that person, and like just every lap, boom, boom, until like you like okay, pit. Whether the other party pits or not, just do it. And I don't know if they had that in Silverstone, and I don't know because it seemed that, and I don't know if they had that also in Monaco. It was really weird.
Monaco was such a disaster. Yeah, I mean, if you have measures like that, especially on a rainy race where like incidents are so prone, and you still make a bad decision. I don't know. It's pretty difficult. I mean, I don't know. I guess there wasn't like a safety car if I remember correctly. It was just like they didn't correctly gauge like the advantage that like drivers on the different tires were gonna get, and then they just like they totally fumbled it even after they saw pure gas the space. But anyways, yes, that's it's all to say that Ferrari deserves this little boost.
Yeah, so 2 races back to back that they won, which is nice. It looks like both of the races they were gonna get a 1-2, and Silverstone they messed up their 1-2, and in this one, unfortunately, the car reliability wasn't there. And it feels like every time that like I think Carlos Sainz's engine was pretty old compared to Leclerc's. But this happened to Leclerc in Baku when his engine was pretty old. Like I think they're pushing it one race too much.
One race,
you know?
Yeah.
Because it happened to Leclerc in Baku, then his engine just blew up as well.
Yeah. I think they're trying to extend the life of their engines for whatever reason. Maybe it's a strategy to finish like to have a really
they don't
engine at the end.
Yeah, so they don't have like obviously you can only have 3 engines in the entire season. Yeah. So yeah, if you don't manage that, like
Yeah.
this is gonna happen. Which is also why I'm kind of against of adding more races to Formula One,
Yeah.
because how are the teams if you only have 3 engines in the season? Like this is what's gonna happen, or
Mhm.
or unless they're gonna turn them down the whole way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No. Well, I mean, it's also. I mean, the discussion about the having more circuits is one that we for sure are going to have at some point in the future, because there's a lot to say about like the FIA wanting to put more and more races on the calendar. So, but we'll keep it at there for now.
okay. With that being said, I want to ask you a question that, like, I know it doesn't have much to do with this weekend or the race, but I think it's an important question. But out of the 10 teams in Formula One right now, which has the strongest pairing?
What do you mean, like in drivers?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Uh, Probably if I had to, yeah, if I had to throw it out there, probably say Mercedes.
Mercedes?
Mercedes, yeah. Like I think it's because Russell is really quick. I mean, like the guy is really fast. I would say he's as fast as a Verstappen or a Leclerc. Um, and then you have Hamilton, which the guy is still in top form. I mean, he's still going faster than Russell. Um, I don't know. He's just a really really good driver. So both of them combined. I mean, if they were fighting for the championship instead of for like third place, I think they will.
It'll be a juicy season.
Yeah, it will be a juicy season because they keep going back and forth. Now Hamilton is catching up a little bit to Russell, slowly. So yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's them. Why? Like, did you have a preference of somebody?
So I think at the beginning of the season, I think the strongest pairing it is in Mercedes, but I think the second one is probably Ferrari. Or I think that was the idea at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Where like everybody saw last year that Carlos Sainz was in this upward trend, and then Leclerc is just Leclerc.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I feel like I don't know if Formula One, just because you have the strongest pairing or the strongest drivers in your team, if that's good overall for your team. Especially if you're fighting for championships. Like you feel like in other sports, you want to have the best players in your team.
Yeah.
But that doesn't translate very well in Formula One. You don't want the drivers to be the best ones and them fight against each other.
Yeah.
Because there can only be one winner. Like I know that the team wins as a whole, but not really as a driver. So I was thinking, I know. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I think it's 100% right. Because if you look at teams such as Red Bull that like understand that, or like I don't know if they understand it as much as they stumble upon it, because they kept putting a second driver for for Verstappen, and then they went with Gasly, and then they put another one, and they went with Albon, and then it took him like all the way to Perez. They were like, okay, so we can't put any more fucking rookies and like ruin their careers. Like we need to find like an actual driver that's experienced but like very defensive. And they stumble upon Checo, who is like probably the best at defending, like one of the best defenders, and that's all he has to do. All he has to do is play defense for Max Verstappen every single race, and that's how you win like a drivers' championship. Not necessarily the team championship, but the drivers' championship. If you want that, and if you want it for your drivers, that's how you do it. And so yes, it is smart to have a lead guy. It's good to have another guy that's good. But for a team purpose and for winning purpose, for winning sake, for specifically for drivers championships, yes, I think you need a teammate that's going to support you as opposed to compete with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that Red Bull on that aspect have a big advantage over the rest of the teams. Like if Mercedes in the second half of the season come back with a vengeance,
Yeah.
what are they gonna do with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell? Like,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. I mean,
and
but I think at that point, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the Mercedes are gonna. I mean, it's like already halfway through the season, and they're like pretty far behind, just like Sainz, you know. Um,
but so there's that.
mhm.
That's a hypothetical that we don't know about. But the other one is
Yeah.
Leclerc and Sainz. Is Sainz gonna be playing the team game now, knowing that like, hey, you have to back out, even though Sainz mathematically can still win the championship.
Can still win. Yeah, I think they should have the conversation with him for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, 2 races ago, if Science would have reliably been faster and reliably been the good car to be in front, sure. I mean, yeah, still give him a shot, but like he didn't. I mean, and he has driven very poorly. Even last race in which he won, he drove that very very poorly. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is the time. Like they're running out of time. They're running out of races quick. I mean, we're already halfway through the season, and the gap is pretty far behind. So yeah, they need to give themselves as many points as they can with their lead driver if they really wanna, if they really want. Especially when it's situations where it's like just switch places. It's like you through three, just switch the places and see if the other guy can go faster. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It should be also, yeah, I think like the best way to avoid those type of situations is that it's like swap the cars. Let's give the other guy 2 laps to see if he's truly faster. I mean, if he's not,
Yeah.
swap it back. That's it.
Exactly.
But I don't know. Like we had the conversation in Silverstone. It shouldn't be a 21 lap decision. It should be
Yeah.
like a 1 lap decision. Let's give it a try. It doesn't work. Okay, 2 laps after you're back. And in 3 laps, you solved it. You
Yeah.
figured it out. That's
I
something
mean-
that I don't know if the Ferrari has
Yeah.
Six Sigma just yet.
I'm sure they'll get there. I mean, I don't know. This you would think, but a strategy is not something that you really can buy with money. You need to find like really brilliant people like to like execute it. So yeah, I mean, take some talent to find somebody like that.
Okay. Now let's talk about the next topic. We're flying through topics here, actually. We got some juicy themes. This might be our shortest podcast yet.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
think so. We're gonna just fly here. But let's talk about Mick Schumacher.
All right. So this is where I wanted to say what I was gonna say. That if because I think we're gonna get into a bunch of like little topics, and I thought at the beginning of the pod, I was like if I had to describe like a theme or like a name for this race, it'll probably be Scrap City. Like it was like scraps all over the place. Really like real like little incidents happening all over the place. I think there was a point where like 5 drivers went into one turn. It was it was really fun. Like in many aspects, it has been one of the best races in my opinion of the season. It just like all these little interactions between the drivers that you like, and all of them kind of mean something. I don't know, they play really nicely. I feel like Austria is really a track that gives opportunity for these type of things, because turn 5, that one where like everybody like took a penalty, everybody kept going off.
Let's turn 4.
Is it? I think it's turn 5, isn't it? Because it doesn't go like this a little bit. That's 4, and then
1, then it goes 2, 3, and 4. I think that's turn 4. Anyway,
I think
where Russell took out Perez.
Yeah, it curves a little, but yes, where Russell took him
where
out.
Vettel also got spun out.
Yes, all of, well, I mean that specific turn, but like all of the track is so wonderful. It's like such a short track, and it really looks like the cars are flying. It's kind of awesome. Like the terrain really plays, and it's like really bumpy. That yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it gives good happenings for these type of things. But we can talk about Mick now.
No, I mean we can keep talking about the track a little bit then. I think that it is a very well made track. Like I don't know how it was designed, but it feels more like an old sort of old style circuit that they found a plot of land and it's like, how can we make a circuit here?
out of this. Yeah.
As opposed to like the current Formula One designs that you can just let's design it however we want.
Mhm.
So Austria seems very nice and like there's a lot of elevation changes.
Yeah.
So turn 3 goes all the way up to that hill into the right hand there. That is very awkward to take.
Yeah.
You never know because if you take it too close, like it's too bumpy, so it feels weird. Then the turn 4, which I think is turn 4, but I might be wrong, is downhill to the right.
Downhill, yeah.
So it is very hard to try to overtake somebody like on the outside. People always try and it is incredibly difficult because the track goes down like downwards and the car just wants to keep like moving up, like opening up. So overtaking on the outside in that turn is really difficult. Then the turn after that, like I know that turn 4 it goes a little bit to the right and then they have like that long left-hander. Every now and then
turn 8 or turn 7.
It's really good. Like you don't see many overtakes there, but they can happen. So it is exciting. You're like, so you can pretty much race from turn 1, 2, 3 all the way until turn 5, 6. Almost the only ones that you can't really race on are like the 2 turns before the main straight.
The 9 and 10, I think.
So it is like a really nice track. The whole time you can be fighting the cars in front. It's a really fun track.
It's so fast. It's so fast, but yet I feel like through the years, I feel like the cars with better downforce are better at it. I think it's because it's so bumpy and like wavy that like if you have better aerodynamics, I think you're better. And I think that's why Ferrari had such an advantage this weekend. They were going so quick because of the track conditions allowed them to be. If it would have been just like a straight up flat circuit, like I don't know, like any street circuit that has like long things, or like France the next time around, although that's a little wavy every now and then. All of those like Red Bull are gonna win it, but like Ferrari on the ones that are more bumpy, I think they had an advantage. So I mean, yeah, I think that's something that's just fascinating about the track. It's also like beautiful. Like if you like look actually like in the game, or you know, if you like look at the car, like the trees on the back as you go up like turn 3, it's like really like a wonderful looking circuit. Like it looks like, I don't know, like beautiful panorama in the Austrian Alps. It's great. I love the track. I love looking at it, and I also like that the laps are short, but they're like everywhere is like really meaningful. So
it reminds me, it gives me vibes of like it's really fast. You're racing the whole time. Really simple. It gives me vibes of like when you play Mario Kart, the first track that you always race at Mario Kart is like just a really fast, short, simple track. You're racing the whole way through. And it's just fun overall.
It's just a clean racing, you know.
Okay, now for realsies, let's talk about Mick Schumacher.
All right.
We talked shit about Mick Schumacher because he kept wrecking the cars. He kept crashing. He just couldn't get it together. Every time that he was really close to the points, he would get a little bit over eager, trying to like get the best result possible. And it isn't what a coincidence that it isn't until we said it that he watched our podcast and then he's like, they're right. I need to take it easy. Relax.
Relax a little bit. Try to play cool.
Yeah, play it cool and let the results come to me. And he's been doing great. I thought this race, I mean, he was voted driver of the day. And I think he actually was pretty good. Like even during the sprint race, defending against Lewis, that was really good to watch.
Actually,
so I don't know if you have any thoughts about Mick Schumacher.
You know what? I was watching some of the footage of his like interviews and stuff, and like he was like so serious this weekend. I mean, I think it's the opposite. I think he watched our podcast and just got angry. I was like I don't fucking suck. Let me try to, like, I'm not a Stroll. Let me try to do a little bit better. And I think, I don't know, I feel like he was determined to like get more points, like, like try harder. And he started like, yeah, like fighting really hard. And like he thought I mean, on Saturday, I mean, he thought that he had more pace than Magnussen, and that like Magnussen should have kept him there in the DRS. But like, I mean, you were losing ground to him. I mean, like, well, like Magnussen was just driving normally, and then he's like, "Well, he didn't give me DRS at the end, even though I asked for it." It's kind of like, come on, man. I mean, like, he was so far ahead by the time you asked for it, and like, I don't know. I mean, that strategy might have worked, but I mean, it's so hacky. So I don't know. I don't know. I felt like on Saturday, at least on Sunday, he came back and he was angry and determined, and he actually got there. He actually did a really good job, and like he really, played to the strengths of the car, and got a good result.
Yeah, but in order for anybody to take a look, like, oh, Mick Schumacher, oh, he did really well. Look, this weekend, he's like a really good driver. Now, like, like the only way you can say that is like Mick Schumacher has to now be better than Kevin Magnussen every weekend.
Yeah, reliably or consistently.
Yes. And I don't know if I see that from Mick Schumacher just yet.
Yeah.
And just because you beat Kevin Magnussen every weekend, is that like even enough for people to feel like, oh yeah, he's like, he deserves like a better drive,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think with this type of drive, he could land himself a solid, like, what I call Renault, but it's Alpine, or a solid maybe a McLaren role at some point. I don't think he's at the level where like the top teams really want him yet. Like,
Yeah.
and like teams might even be looking just at different drivers than Mick at the moment, just because he hasn't really shown the pace to be all that incredible. And he's been behind Magnussen, which Magnussen is a really high caliber driver. Like he's I think I would argue he's the caliber of like a well, a McLaren should be. Like a McLaren driver. Like I think he should be like that type of car. Um, but like, I don't know. You need to show. Well, yeah. Mick hasn't shown reliably that he can beat Magnussen even. And I think Magnussen is still had it. He still has it. He's trying to be cool about Mick winning like over a weekend, but like he is playing more of the team game. He's just trying to get good results for the team, points consistently. And I think that's what Mick needs to do too. Not worry so much about Magnussen, but try to just get points.
Yeah, and actually has a very good card. Like Mick beat Lando this weekend, so he's actually in a pretty good car if he wants to just keep getting consistent results.
Yeah, I kind of, yeah, I think so too. I mean, they're really they have a solid package. I mean, they're not like the strongest, but I mean, compared to what it was last year or the year prior, they did make a lot of advances in their car, and I think they really well substituted or funded this year. Like I think they wanted to aim for 2022, the new regulations and changes to come out, to have a really good car, and I think it paid off, or it's starting to pay off a little bit. I mean, they weren't gonna go from like 10th to first, but they're slowly making progress, and they really have a development, a car to develop well in the next couple of years.
Okay, now with that being said, I got no more topics.
No
That's
more
all
topics?
that's all I got. I don't know if you have any other particular topic. Well, I mean,
well-
obviously, I have the FIA criticism, but aside from that,
Oh no, well, I mean, I just had a few of the incidents in mind that I thought were particularly good. I mean, I think this weekend was interesting to see like the comparisons between like uh the incidents from this year and previous years, as well as just incidents within the same race, in which like some penalties were given and some weren't given. Because I think the FIA did a pretty good job on this race. I mean, it's inconsistent with what they've done in the past few races, where like penalties were called in like weird places, but probably the right calls were made. So like even though they haven't been making the right calls, so they happen to make the right calls on this
Okay.
one. And I think I thought it was a good example of that. So for example, the George Russell Perez incident, I
All
think
right.
that
Then I some of this goes into like let's
the,
criticize the FIA. So okay, let's criticize the FIA.
all
That's
right.
the ringtone. So you were talking about the incidents this weekend.
Yeah,
And one of
well,
the incidents I did write down was the Russell Perez incident.
yeah, which I mean, I think I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit odd because George was not at fault at all. He in some ways you could argue that like he didn't deserve the penalty that he got, but like it was very obvious that Perez like closed the door on him. There was nowhere else where like Russell could go, and then Perez ended up in the gravel. I think the real reason why they gave him the penalty is because the other driver finished so much worse, or like had such a terrible outcome that they just had to give him something. But I don't think he was really at fault. That being said, in situations like that, I think like the penalty is kind of deserved, because I mean you're still part of an accident that like cost somebody else's race. Um, so yeah, but I mean there were a few others in that same turn. I think like uh, Pierre Gasly doing the same thing to Vettel, but that time it was just more obvious that it was Pierre Gasly's fault. Um,
Gasly was just messing up everybody's race the whole weekend, but anyway.
who else raced? Did he mess up?
Who did he mess up in the sprint race? He didn't mess it up on the race, but on the sprint race, I can remember. He was just messing everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he messed up somebody at the start. Anyway,
I think you may be thinking of UK last week when he screwed up.
Yuki screwed up Gasly, but Gasly on the sprint race messed somebody up.
Well, I mean, Gasly also messed up Russell and Guanyu on that one. So I don't know. But in any case, I mean, another one actually that now that you mentioned, another one that was kind of interesting, another incident or not incident, a little event, little happening, was Alonso on Tsunoda when he was like,
oh, Alonso and Yuki was pushing him
little,
out, and then Alonso was like, oh.
yeah, the little wag of the finger of like, no, you're not getting away with that. I mean, that was really dangerous from Tsunoda. Like, I think I easily like Fernando could have lost control of the car had he just been in the grass for a little more, and like the both would have gone crashing at like at 300 miles per hour or 300 kilometers per hour. That was just like, I don't know, very responsible. So the wag of the finger was like very good from Alonso too. Just have enough time. Obviously, like Tsunoda can't like see that, and he's not gonna see it, but like he was gonna see it in the replays because everybody's like talking about it. So
everybody's gonna ask him, "What do you think of Fernando wagging the finger?"
yeah,
He's
but
like,
I
what?
mean, he was obviously in the wrong. I mean, and Tsunoda's been in like such a weird like mental state that like they like and psychologically that like they even had to get him
Yeah,
a
psychiatrist.
psychiatrist, yeah, to work with him because he's having a lot of moods in track, and like you can see that it's affecting his performance. He feel like when you see him at the beginning of the weekend or after any incidents, he like looks really down, like he's like they're being too tough on himself, or like he's doing something, maybe he's getting too angry about it. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, that specific part. It's I don't know, it's an aspect
Actually, I don't know
autonomy.
if Verstappen or Perez leave Red Bull, I don't know who Red Bull have to replace them with. They have nobody.
I mean, they have
Albon, that's it.
Albon and maybe Gasly, but I don't know. I think Gasly is not as good as Albon. But that's just
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna criticize the FIA on my main rant that I know. I'm so defeated sometimes. because it's the same criticism every weekend. Every weekend, it's like the consistency. Before it used to be one thing, now it's this thing.
Yeah.
So track limits. Track limits was a thing the whole weekend, all of it. Actually, I don't know if I've seen it, but Verstappen's pole position lap.
Yeah. Big shunt. Mm-hmm.
Did he go out on the last corner?
I'm pretty sure he did. Like, I looked at the replay like 6 different times from like all the angles, and it's like he went slightly over it. He wasn't driving on the wide line. No, he was on top of it, like above it, for like a fraction of a second. And if that's the case, it's like you have to penalize. I mean, like, or you have to delete the lap. You drove off the limits. Like, it wasn't within the limits, it was outside of them, you know. Or it wasn't at the limit, it was outside of the limit.
It's like I don't understand sometimes how they, like, when it's all about the main people, like the championship contenders.
Mm-hmm.
They like let it slide because they don't want to cause controversy.
Yeah,
but they are causing controversy by not doing anything either.
Yeah. It's like I don't know. It's more difficult for the viewer to like look at that and like think that like the process is right. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's some like, if you care about the rules, which I do, I feel like we're both like rule lawyers in this house. When we play board games and stuff, we're always we're all about like the rules. I think it's kind of like this is it irks me that like there's no consistency in the rules, because we like dissect what the rules are supposed to be so we can follow them, and so we can, you can use them to your advantage in many occasions. What Verstappen did is just outside the rules, like he just went out a little bit, just give him a penalty. I guess I didn't think of that when I was saying like how well they did, because yeah, I don't know, that he did go out, and it's kind of like, just give him the penalty. In the game would have given him a penalty, just give him a penalty.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's one, the track limits. The other thing is that during the entire race, I think Leclerc got like a black and white flag, like lap 40 something, for like
was it Leclerc that got that?
I think Leclerc did it like 40 something, and it's like, oh man, he has like 30 laps to go. Are you telling me that for the next 30 laps he didn't
cross once?
I
think he might have not. I mean, this is a baseless accusations that we can't make. No, but I don't know. I mean, I hope not, but it is what it is.
But the only thing you can really do is like, what am I gonna watch the entire race as Leclerc's on board, and see if he did it? Like,
yeah, or like all the the slow motion like cameras that they have on the side, like you don't even have access to those.
So like, how do you fix the issue?
They could hide it if they wanted. Yes.
How do you fix the issue? They determined, like, obviously at the beginning of the season, the white line is track limits, and like at the beginning of the season, it was strict, and I liked it. And it wasn't all that strict, because I still remember in Bahrain how in Q2 Perez went out. And he went out of track limits, and they didn't delete his lap.
That was insane, because he ended up getting like 4th on that, which is pretty high. You should have just deleted the lap. But yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. Not to get too much into that one again.
But so that happened in Bahrain, where Perez just keeps that, and apparently that's okay. So even though they say they're enforcing it, they're not really enforcing it. Like, they don't know. like I've showed you IndyCar, and in IndyCar, like in the United States Grand Prix, and what is it in what is the one in Austin? What's that one called? The Circuit of the
Las
Americas.
Americas.
Yes, Circuit of the Americas.
Mhm.
In IndyCar, like they just can't keep the cars on track, so they just go and
Oh yeah,
they like make their own track. And I'm like, I know that it's not as bad in Formula One, but it is pretty bad if you have like every lap somebody like I have it 43 instances in the entire race
damn.
of
Mhm.
track limits.
It's a lot of
So
it's a lot of infractions.
yeah, uh, like how do you need to fix it? And I think it's not an issue of every track, but Austria is one track where that happens every year.
Yeah. Well, because you can go so much faster by taking the curves. I mean, the curves are like so wonderfully designed that like you just like you literally can go faster by just going a little more and more over, and like the curves don't stop you. So like, yeah, if you want to keep the cars on track, which they should be and they can be, like then yeah, I think regulating the tracks limit is correct, but they should do it for every fucking circuit. I don't understand what the hesitation is. Just keep the cars on the track and like be strict about the rule, be in the lookout all the time for this type of stuff. I mean, the Formula One makes enough money that it can hire more people to like look at the cameras and tell them if there's an infraction. They also have like nanotechnology in their like in their transponders to know where like the car is at all times. I'm sure they can figure out if the car went off the racetrack or not. Um,
Just put a, I don't know, a fucking helicopter just looking down at the corner and we're good.
yeah, but they should. Yeah, I feel like they should do that on like every race. Every race should be, it should have like very like strict track limits. Like if you go over, you you can't complete, like your lap doesn't count. I mean, that's how the game works. Like that, and like that is how the game is. That like that's how it should be in real life too. Like strict strict like measures, because otherwise like people play around them, people break them. If you're ahead, all of a sudden you're not getting your penalties because the stewards feel bad about like penalizing people ahead. So it's like you get all this weird flexibility and leniency, and then you end up with like this mess where like one race they give to drivers, another race they don't give to drivers. This race they penalize Albon, but 2 years ago they didn't penalize Verstappen when he like totally took out like Charles Leclerc out of the track. He pushed him out essentially. He literally underturned into Leclerc and then just kept going and got an advantageous position out of that. And they didn't
Yep.
penalize him. They didn't penalize him. And Leclerc was fuming afterwards because he was like, he literally like bumped me out of the track. And then this time, Albon does it. Albon doesn't even touch what's his name, Norris. He just pushed him off lightly and then he got the penalty. It's like motherfuckers. Then like I think that is the right call, I guess, to penalize uh Albon, because he did, technically speaking, he didn't leave enough space. But why not do that to Verstappen when obviously back in, I don't know, 2019, he didn't have the curve, or the turn. It was actually Leclerc was a little bit ahead. So I don't know. And anyways, that's the type of thing, inconsistencies that like you're like, okay, fine. If you're gonna be lenient in this scenario, because it matters, because it's a race win, then you have to be lenient in every other scenario. This is a precedent. It's a precedent that like other drivers are going to use. So why then would you penalize Albon this time around? Would you set a precedent back in there? You have to be mindful. You have to be cognizant of these precedents that you're setting, because then otherwise you're confusing the audience, and you're obviously showing that like the top drivers are driving under different rules than the other normal drivers, and that's not how it should be.
Yeah, I feel like it happens, and just like you're saying, I feel like Leclerc, like I said, in lap 40 something, he got like the black and white flag. And then I'm saying like for the next 20, 30 laps, he didn't go out a single time. And I feel like he did do it but I feel like they're so afraid of penalizing Verstappen or Leclerc. So I think, like you're saying, they don't do it on the top driver, so they go like throw some penalties in the midfield, so it shows that we're penalizing this.
Yeah.
And there were penalties, but there were no penalties for the top drivers, which I find kind of suspicious. But yeah, I don't know. You have to watch the entire race as Leclerc's on board and fucking count it if it happened or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be. I think it should be very, very clear. If you go out of the tracks. Anyway, all of the rules need to be consistent. When overtaking, like you're saying, with Albon just pushes somebody out, or when Verstappen does it, which one it is? Is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? And just stay consistent the whole time.
Exactly.
What is your thoughts as to what the penalty between Russell and Perez should have been? Do you think there was a penalty like for George?
I mean, I think like I said earlier, I think it's not so much that Russell did something wrong, like because he didn't do anything wrong, but like he was in essentially what was a driving incident in which
like
the other
Russell
driver ended up so much worse.
Russell drove over the curb and the inside, like he was really close in.
He gave him plenty of space, yeah.
But I think I don't know. I looked it up after last weekend as to how it works and how is it Verstappen allowed to push Mick Schumacher off the track, and it's okay. And here you have Russell pushing people out, and he gets a penalty.
Yeah, same thing with Albon, but yeah.
So I mean, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but like the rule that they put in place this year to prevent to determine whether something is a penalty or not is if you're overtaking on the outside, let's say this is the car on the inside, this is the car on the outside. When you're overtaking on the outside, your car has to be alongside the other car by the time you hit the apex of the turn. So if that's the case, if your car is next to the other car, by the time that you hit the apex, the car on the inside needs to leave you space on the outside. Yeah. If they don't, it's a penalty. So I think based on that rule, even though George Russell didn't do anything wrong, technically Perez was on the outside by the time they hit the apex.
That's true.
And even though Russell gave him space, it's like, well, that's a penalty per the rules that we wrote ourselves.
That thing, yeah, like by the letter of the law, I guess that is kind of an infraction there too.
So I'm like, I know, I'm like, sure, let's go for it, but I guess, is that what it's gonna be the rest of the year? Like, I don't know. I'm like, I know that it is, but if we now see it for Verstappen or Leclerc, is it gonna happen for them?
Exactly, and that's the crux of the question. And the thing that we say is like we shouldn't have these doubts about how the rules work in a sport, you know, like what we said before. Like if this happened in American football, like we'll be like why the fuck are they changing the rules from game to game? This doesn't make any sense. Like why are there like some things here and some things not happening over there? And then so we do the same thing in Formula One, but we're always wondering. We're always like, what's gonna be the next incident that gets marked, and like how are they gonna fuck it up, and why do we have to talk about this when like the rules should just be set? You know, we should just be playing a fucking game that like with finite boundaries, not a bunch of like guessing, like, you know, black and white or gray areas in everything. So yeah, I don't know. I would wish that like it was as consistent. And the other thing that we said back in the day also is like it makes the viewers feel like us, you know, like annoyed, like it's like punishing, or like it's kind of annoying to feel like you know the rules but like that like you're not following them. That like oh, I thought I learned something the other day when I understood that calling that you made, but now it's the opposite. How come? Like how come like I'm not being rewarded as a viewer for watching your sport.
Yeah.
So,
There's one other criticism that we can touch here, but we'll probably can get into it a little bit later when an actual incident does happen, which it happened last weekend, but we didn't talk about it. And it's something that the FIA, I think, needs to get rid of completely,
okay.
which is the sausage curbs. Austria has a couple of sausage curbs, specifically on turn one. There's not a lot of incidents that happen. They also have the sausage curbs at the end of on turn three, like on that turn when Verstappen pushed Leclerc, I think last year, or 2 years ago, whatever.
Yeah, turn three. Yeah.
But the sausage curbs in Formula One need to be fully taken out of the sport. They are there to prevent drivers from not going out track limits.
Yeah.
But if you're already deleting lap times and you're policing track limits very heavily, you don't need sausage curbs anymore.
Exactly.
And the sausage curbs, they are very dangerous in this sport. I'm gonna make a playlist of like all of the incidents that have occurred that it would have been fine, like a lower incident, like something minor. But because there was a sausage curb, how the incident is like 10 times worse. Like almost like drivers could have been killed.
Yeah. Like
I don't know if you've seen.
Oh, go on.
No, go. You go on.
I was gonna say. I don't know if you've seen the Formula 3 incident. I think on Imola. No, on Monza.
Yeah.
That happened.
And the car goes flying,
and the car just like literally
he takes off, and it is crazy. That car got like
so much air, and literally,
oh my god,
like literally it flew. I think probably, let's say, I think that was over like 10 meters. If we're gonna go with the European system.
Oh my god. And the one, I don't know if you saw the one in Silverstone and Formula 2 last week, where there's this driver that, first of all, he does some horrific defending. Like he doesn't leave the car any space and pushes a car out of track. The car that he pushes out of track gets a puncture, and then he cannot control his car because the tire is not there to give him any grip. And then because he cannot control it, the car goes on top of a sausage curb and lands on top of another car. Like,
oh my God.
And the halo is what saved that guy.
Jeez.
Like that, and I'm like, I know that the halo is there, and thank God for the halo, but that accident would have not occurred if the sausage curb was not there. Like the sausage curb just like send cars off like onto fucking the stratosphere. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it really doesn't need to be there. It's unnecessary if you are policing well the drivers.
Yeah, there's a couple of incidents here. I'm gonna show you both of them. I'm gonna show you, first of all, look at this one here from Monza that just happened. This is a different Formula series. I think this is the WEC.
Okay, let me see. This is like, you said, like this is recently?
Yeah, this happened 2 days ago, over the weekend.
Oh my God, dude. Holy Christ. Yeah, see, I mean, that's a beautiful example of like why these sausage curves don't work. And like it's like you said, like they just make the situation a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, and then this is the one that happened last weekend in Silverstone from Formula 2.
Holy Christ.
Like these cars are not meant to be like being catapulted off the racetrack.
Yeah.
It's like, and if we even want to take it back, like in Monza last year when Verstappen went on top of Hamilton, that was also a sausage curb. Like it's just too many times that there's an accident that is really big and a sausage curve is like involved in it. So
that's pretty bad. And again, like all of these incidents would have been so much less bad without the sausage curve, or like they probably wouldn't have even happened. Yeah, I don't know, crazy.
So yeah, that was like my last. We can keep it like as a recurring thing coming up every time that it happens.
Sure.
Like, but like I think it's a thing that Formula One needs to get rid of entirely, and especially if we are now policing track limits more heavily.
Yeah,
the sausage curves make no sense anymore.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
Okay. We can stop it here and rejoin. Yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, we're pretty much that's it. The shortest podcast yet. Let's go over the ratings.
All right.
Max Verstappen.
Should be pretty short. Max. He did good, better than Perez. Didn't have the pace though to win. But did he do anything wrong per se? No. I don't know. It's probably like a 4.5, maybe, or 4. I mean, he outdrove Perez by substantially, so 4.5 I think is sufficient.
Perez.
Perez. Well, he crashed because of him, and also ended out of the race at the end. I probably would give him like a 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Leclerc.
They're great. Passed Max Verstappen 3 times. Who doesn't want to see that? So no, yeah, for sure. Definitely was a good performance by him. So I'm gonna give him maybe the 5 out of 5. I think he could have had slightly better qualifying, but even that was close enough. And also could have had a slightly better sprint qualifying. But yeah, okay. I think a 5 still
Sainz.
Sainz, on the other hand, he wasn't as fast as Leclerc. There for a period of time there at the beginning of the sprint qualifying, there were some like high hopes that like maybe he could like outrace Leclerc, but then he kind of just lost it. And then on the next day, like obviously just Leclerc was faster. He didn't have to fight him at the beginning, so like Leclerc immediately just had more pace, and then eventually got past Verstappen. So I don't know. All in all, Sainz did his job until the car exploded. So I don't know. It's hard to know how I would have concluded. Probably he would have passed Verstappen, is my guess. Most likely, but I can't say with a certainty. I'm gonna give him a 3.5.
Yeah, that was also scary to watch.
Oh yeah, when they switch the camera is when you know that like it could be just like worse than it might be.
They're like, I think the camera person is like, okay, let's watch. Okay, yeah, they're getting there. And then at some point they realize, okay, this is getting more intense than what we need to show. Yeah, and then they switch the camera.
Like it looks like he's really struggling to get out of the car because the car is rolling. He can't stop it from rolling, but he also needs to get out because there's a fire. So yeah, like I think the camera guy for a moment thought like, oh my god, this guy could probably fry our life. So let's switch this off. But anyways, he got off the car and like at the end, it was like he could have jumped out of the car had he kept moving further. Like,
you saw the marshal that came in with like a fire extinguisher and then run away.
Yeah,
that was so weird. I don't know what happened there.
But I think the fire mark, the one that came to first to help, he actually like put something behind the tire, like he threw something behind the tire to like stop it. And I think that was like, I don't know, really smart. It's probably part of their training, but like it was really well executed. I was like, that's exactly what you should have done because that car was moving and like the driver needed to like have like some stable ground. So yeah, I think it actually helped Sainz quite a bit.
I didn't know, but the marshals are volunteers and they don't get paid.
They don't get paid?
No.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
It's people that like Formula One and racing, and they volunteer to help for the weekend.
Wow. Hmm. I don't know if that's ethical. I mean, these people are
I know,
these people
right?
are putting their lives in danger. They
Yep.
they should they should pay them some amount. What the fuck?
As far as I know, they don't get paid.
Oh my god.
It's volunteer work.
Wow. I mean, if that's the case, that's very shameful from Formula One. I mean, like pay them like $10 an hour or like oh no, I mean come on, that's still really low. Pay them like $18 an hour. I mean they're only there for like 3 hours anyways.
The marshals get paid in Formula One. Marshals do not get paid, and they do their job for the love of the sport.
That's so insane. That is actually so insane.
The reward is being closest to the people, like being the closest people to the action and having a free entry to see Formula One cars up close and personal.
Oh no, that's just shameful. That's like, oh my god, that's like the Formula One stiffing like some of the most dedicated people that will go, like some of the most dedicated fans that will go and literally like want to be part of the race and volunteer, and you're not even gonna pay them. That's insane. I mean, these people are literally putting their life, they're putting their lives out there and they're saving lives. They're like a lot of times, these people come in with the fire extinguisher, or like they get the guy out of the car, and obviously they clean the tracks and stuff. I mean, this is hard work and it's also like very intense and very dangerous. So like it's shameful, really. It wouldn't cost them even that much. I mean, it's nothing that the Formula One, like the FIA or whoever controls that can't pay them for. I mean, that sucks, man. I didn't know that. I'm disappointed to know that. I'm a little sad.
Now you know. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they do a really good job.
They do, yeah, always. They're like the Formula One marshals are always like so good. Like I always thought that like they had like a really good training program, and like maybe it was like I don't know, maybe I thought maybe it was like sometimes they split out some of them and some of them travel for some tracks, other words like in others. But I guess it's just like maybe like a lead team of them and like the rest are volunteers. That's insane though. That's
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I'm so
Uh,
I'm so disappointed.
yeah, so we were talking about the Carlos Sainz incident. Like,
Yeah.
it is good training. Like, the guy just comes with the block and sticks it under the tire,
Yeah.
and then just tries to save the guy from burning out.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, no, no wonder the FIA, for example, the when they were giving awards this weekend, I think, or was it last weekend that they were like starting to give out awards to the marshals, and it's kind of like that now. This isn't like a different light. It's like, okay, yeah, you're giving them awards. How about you just pay them? Like, just give him a salary. I think that's sufficient compensation. You don't have to like necessarily put him in the podium, but like they should at least get like compensated. You know, I don't know. I feel like yeah, that's a little shameful.
All right, George Russell.
Okay. George Russell. So George did well, the incident and all that. He also didn't out qualify oh no. On the first day he out qualified Hamilton because Hamilton crashed. Unfortunately, Hamilton was going faster than him the entire weekend. And then he had the incident, ended up behind Hamilton, which is probably where he might have ended up anyways. So I'm gonna give him a 4. Like, good job, still points. He's still really good. He's still, every race he's finished top 5. But there's more. He could be better. Could be faster.
I think he didn't finish top 5.
Did he finish? Yeah, he finished 4th.
Fourth? Oh, fourth. Yes.
Because there were like the 2 teams, each one retired 1 car.
Yeah. Hamilton.
Hamilton did great. Very impressed. He got a podium for his troubles. And the only thing was the crash, but he was like very sorry about the crash. He wasn't like down or anything. He was just like felt bad that the team had to like pay for it and repair it. Which is the right attitude. So no, I think 4.5 probably.
Bottas.
Bottas. I don't remember Bottas at all. Bottas was like
He
no
started from the
incidents.
pit lane.
Oh yeah, but he didn't get points, did he? I don't remember if he did,
I
but I
don't
don't
think
think
he
so.
did.
Yeah,
Bottas got 11th.
Bottas got 11th. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I mean, I guess underwhelming. I think he did out qualify Guanyu, so I'm gonna I don't know 3.5. I think is appropriate.
What about for his teammate?
I think
Joe.
probably at 3 for Joe, who I don't think was having like the fastest raceable.
I think he also did he DNF? Did something happen to him? I think his car didn't like his car
Oh
turned off
yeah,
on the formation lap.
yeah. He had a weird incident there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it went on the race, like if he went further than that.
No, he did. He did race, but he had to start from the pit lane because his
Mhm.
car turned off. Like, dude, that guy can't catch a break.
Yeah, talk about an unlucky guy. Like
Yeah.
he's actually probably at this point of the season probably the unluckiest one. I mean,
And Alonso, him with Alonso.
and Alonso, yeah. I don't think I think Sainz would argue that he's been the unluckiest for some extent. I'd be like, no. Sainz has not. I mean, it's a combination of like maybe some bad luck, but also he hasn't just been the fastest. And like, so who cares? you know.
Yeah.
So
Um, let's talk about Norris now.
yeah, okay. So Norris, he actually did really good. Um, and it was interesting to see him back, or to see him back to get this many points. I think 7th is pretty good. Probably, I mean, I think the Hasses were just faster, but so probably as good as Norris could achieve. So I'm gonna give him a 4. I mean, there is certainly better performances from him. The scenario 7 in Austria like last year or the year before.
Two
I think it
years.
was
I
last
think
year.
it's 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, so in this one he was just good.
Okay, Ricardo.
Ricardo, he salvaged points. I mean, I think they were struggling a lot in that car this weekend. I think the brakes or something like Norris kept complaining about them, and well, Ricardo hasn't been comfortable with the McLaren's brakes since he started. I think that's actually probably the biggest issue is that he's just not as comfortable in them. So he wasn't looking like he was gonna be his weekend, but he ended up with 2 points. I'm gonna give him 3.5.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. Both Lando and Ricardo say that the car is just too stiff.
Mhm.
Um, it doesn't
For the
like
turns.
it has a lot of understeer. Um, the
Mhm.
rear is just too stiff for the car. So I mean, Norris is still able to drive it, but I
Yeah.
think in comparison, like if you look at Ricardo in the Red Bull years ago, the Red Bull was like super agile,
Yeah.
very oversteery. So I
Mhm.
think he doesn't like that. Like he likes that as opposed to the current McLaren.
Right.
Albon,
Albono. Oh, actually, he ended up with a point. Wait, did he? No. Oh, sorry. I
no, he
I
ended up
saw
12th.
I saw Alonso. And I thought that was Albon for a sec. Uh, Albon. I don't know. He did all right. I mean, he's driving a Williams. And he was getting close to the points, but with the incident and everything. I mean, there's also the matter that like, if you look at him compared to where like Latifi was just so slow the entire weekend. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I think I'm gonna give him a 3.5. I think he was going faster than the Williams. But there's a lot of just faster cars out there too. Like
Yeah.
all the Aston Martins and the Alfa Romeos are like really quick this year too. So it's kind of hard for the Williams to compete.
Yeah. Latifi.
Latifi did pretty bad. He didn't even finish, and I never even know he retired because it's like okay, but he wasn't doing that well, and like he described his own performance as like terrible after the race, which I'm like I don't know why. You should just be having fun. because
Because it's your last year.
Yeah, exactly. So no, yeah, I think I don't know. I give him like a I don't know. I'm gonna be generous. I'm just gonna give him a 3. Why not?
Who else have you given? You're saying that he drove better than Sergio Perez.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, Perez for his own race.
Ocon.
Ocon. Ocon is also one that like you don't see often. Like he's just like not involved in incidents and stuff, but he's been silently like getting to like that.
He's
rest of
been
the best.
very solid.
Yeah.
Every weekend, but you never see him. He's
Yeah.
just not exciting.
Yeah,
I don't
something about it.
like. First of all, Alpine as a team, they got no fans. Where are the Alpine fans?
Yeah.
First of all, they don't exist. The only reason that team has fans is because of Fernando Alonso.
Yeah. And honestly, it should be Renault. I don't know why that they made that change. The Renault car was like the yellow. It's like the only yellow car. It was great to look at. Every single year I was excited to see, the Bumblebee. And then like they went for like the plainest blue you can find. The plainest like race driving blue, and it's like
Yeah.
all right.
Because Alpine was a French company and they wanted to show France and
yeah,
yeah.
but
all of the cars are blue already. We have Williams.
Yeah, I love to say this, but the colors of France are not like the most interesting colors. I mean, there's like 10, there's like 20 different flags with those same colors, including United States, including Russia, including a couple of other ones around there. So I mean, there's
the United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom, yeah. I mean, I think you could Poland. I mean, it has at least 2 of those colors. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever they did, they changed the branding of the car, and it's terrible now. It's so forgettable. Nobody's thinking about Alpines as like a cool car. Nobody. If you play the game and you start with an Alpine because you like the car, that's insane to me. Like that is actually insane. It's such a bad car to like start competing with. It's like the least fun one, So
so Ocon gets a what?
Ocon, he gets a 4.5. Very good. Nice. Very good for him. Best of the rest.
Alonso.
Alonso was trying to salvage a lot. It's kind of hard to say, but he did end up in the points, even though he started last. He started last, right? I
don't know when he started.
On the sprint, I thought. Maybe I'm thinking of last weekend. I don't know, but I thought he had some sort of incident.
Yeah, no, he started last.
Yeah, like there was some change to his engine or something.
Yeah, I think so.
And so the drive back, to 10th, very solid. I mean, the midfield is so close together that it's kind of hard to actually make your way out that far. So I think he did pretty good at getting, a point out of it. That much.
And the score?
3.5 or maybe 4. I think a 4. Let's give him 4.
4. You're saying that he drove better than Sainz.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Just saying. Just comparison wise.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
I think this makes sense.
Magnussen.
Well, he had a really good qualifying, and he also had a good sprint qualifying in which he got points. He got points on both sides of the weekend, which is good. It's as good as you can ask for from the Haas. I also think that Mick Schumacher also did really well, so it's kind of hard. I'm gonna give him both a 4. I think it's one of those rare weekends where they both did really well.
Both Magnussen and Mick?
Yeah, I think they both get.
I think Magnussen had damage in his car, by the way. So I think that
could be a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Gasly.
Gasly took Sebastian Vettel out and then was not in the points. I don't know why this keeps happening to Gasly. He keeps getting into incidents like this. I see some like maybe restlessness from him, and I kind of get it because he's in a no. I don't want to say no name team, but he's also not making headlines at all. He's
Oh,
not.
the AlphaTauri.
He cares about his career, I think.
Yeah, the AlphaTauri is like such a weird car at the moment where
Yeah,
like it was competitive and then it's not, it's really bad. And
yeah.
then the drivers are also not like doing anything great with it either.
Hmm.
Um, so, and I think Gasly just wants to be over with that team already.
Yeah.
Like,
Move on to the next thing. Like maybe he won't be the next Red Bull driver, but like he could be out of this academy thing.
yeah, I think he already re-signed for next year. So,
Well, I mean, I mean, the team is still good, but I mean, we're expecting the great exodus of drivers to come next year. I think we're thinking that like Hamilton,
Ocon,
Alonso,
Alonso,
Vettel,
Vettel,
maybe
yeah.
Ricciardo, all of them, Bottas. I don't know, Bottas is still doing it, but I mean, there's a couple that I mean, you maybe Latifi if he stays another year, if he can, if he manages to do it. But there's gonna be a few others that are just gonna leave, and there's just gonna be a bunch of empty positions. And on those, and I think on that year, I think you could see like a solid move to like a better team. Maybe McLaren, maybe Alpine, or I don't know, even an Aston Martin. Once
Yeah.
Stroll's dad sells the team because his kid couldn't win.
What are you gonna give Gasly?
I'm gonna give him a 3.
Tsunoda.
He didn't have a good weekend and he almost drove Fernando Alonso out. He didn't do too bad. I don't think there was any pace in the car to begin with. And he finished right behind. I'm just gonna give him a 3 as well. Not very good.
Sebastian Vettel.
Vettel was doing well, but for some reason, I mean, he's also been a very unlucky guy. And like this was one of them. I mean, when in the incident that he went out, he really wasn't doing anything wrong. He gave Gasly plenty of space, and Gasly still crashed into him, and then his weekend was ruined. I don't know if he was, aiming for points. I don't think they were gonna get there. But I'm gonna say probably a 3.5. No, a 3, a 3, a 3. I think is fine.
And Stroll.
The same thing at 3. I'm giving 3s out today, like they're made out of cheese.
Also, does Stroll have any fans? Does Ocon have any fans?
I mean, they probably all have little fans in their respective countries.
Like I
But I think that's
remember
where it
when
stops.
I remember when Ocon won Hungary last year, and I'm like, I know we have a new winner, race winner,
Yeah.
but I'm still not excited about it. Like
It's kind of like, oh, nice, congrats, Ocon, and then everybody just like forgot about it. Like, okay,
the guy's too vanilla.
he's gonna be a trivia question at some point. Like, who is this French driver that the last French driver to win? And you're gonna be like, who was it? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's just very forgettable. He's good. He's a good driver. Just kind of forgettable.
Yeah, and the Stroll is just super forgettable.
Kind of like Mick Schumacher. If Mick Schumacher wasn't like a Schumacher and like you saw his face, it like, and this is like a joke that we have ongoing on this house where it's like whenever he comes in the screen, it's like, who's that? Like like who's that random white guy? Because I don't know, he has such a like normal face, just like a plain guy.
Oh,
um
when he looked angry, he does look like Michael.
he does look
Mi-
like Michael a little bit. Yeah, like Michael series like this. uh yeah, a little bit, but normal, nice him, very just like average guy. I don't know.
do you give Stroll a 3?
Yeah, he did the same. I'm not gonna give him any more less points than that. I mean, just drove the car.
Okay, so you have in number 1. Leclerc is the only one that you gave a 5.
Yeah.
So for 4.5, you have a 3-way tie
Okay.
between Verstappen, Hamilton, and Ocon.
I'm gonna say Hamilton next. Um, I don't know. Verstappen was losing positions. He was going ahead of his teammate, but so was Ocon. I'm gonna give it to Ocon, and then Verstappen fourth. I think Ocon's job was just a little bit more impressive if we're being objective.
Okay, then we got Russell, Norris, Alonso, Magnussen, Schumacher.
On 3.5, or was that four?
For fours, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Russell, Norris, Alonso, and the two Hasses.
Probably Norris. Then Mick. Mick was one of them, right?
Yep.
Okay. Russell, Mick, then Norris. Oh no, sorry. I said Norris, Mick. Maybe then Russell. K-Mag and then Alonso.
Okay. And then for the last spot, you have 1, 2, 3, 4-way tie, and only one can make it. It is Sainz, Bottas, Ricciardo, or Albon.
Let's give it to Ricciardo. He actually got points. I think he deserves it.
You know that in our Formula One championship, do you know who's last in our Formula One championship?
Latifi, maybe?
Yeah. Latifi hasn't gotten a single point.
Oh, damn. Typical Williams.
Everybody else has gotten points. You know who's the second worst driver in our Formula One?
No.
It's Ricciardo.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Ooh, oh boy.
And even though you just gave him a point, that still makes him second to last.
Oh shit. Yeah, it's been a rough year for Ricciardo if we're being objective. It's kind of difficult. It hasn't been intentional. I've been trying to give him petty points here and there. But I guess he's still second to last.
Yeah. So at the end of the championship, we'll go over our Formula One World Drivers Championship and maybe talk about do they need to leave Formula One? Because
yeah.
Okay, that's it. There was one last topic that we didn't talk about that I forgot. But it's something that I feel also needs to be addressed by the FIA. It is the smoke.
The fucking smoke from the crowds, bro. We were saying that at the beginning of the race. It's alarming. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna really cause an accident. I don't think. But it's really annoying that it seeps into the fucking racetrack and I don't know that it fucks up the track. It's also, I assume, very annoying if you're a driver or if you're a spectator trying to watch and there's all this smoke coming in front of you. I don't know. To me, it seems really annoying, and also it's difficult to spectate if you're watching at home with all the orange smoke. So yeah, I think that you should do something about it. I think it should be banned on tracks. I don't see why there's a need to have that type of thing.
Yeah, there's some footage, but I can't find it at the moment. Oh, here, this is one of them. But you can't see shit. Let me send it to you. Imagine you pay first of all, to go to a Formula One Grand Prix is thousands of dollars. And then there you go.
It is. It's actually really expensive.
You go to watch it, and the most exciting part is lap one.
Yeah.
And are you seeing the video? You can't see anything.
And people are trying to cover their noses and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but like, these Netherlands people, or Max Verstappen fans or something that happened over the track. Like, apparently they're like the commentators feel like they even had to say something, which is kind of rare. But they were like, the crowd this weekend, like they did something bad. They didn't want to say exactly what it was, but like it was. They say it's very shameful, and fans shouldn't be doing that. And like they didn't say what it was that they did, but I assume it was like, I don't know, something bad enough that like I'm
Yeah,
like, what is going on? These fans are getting a little bit out of control.
yeah, I think it was some sexual harassment,
Oh damn.
and then some racist comments.
Yeah, I assume so. And this may be controversial to say in a podcast like this, but I mean I think it's a real European problem, the way in which uh well racism is treated. I mean I think Europe is such a homogeneous white, like predominantly white place. Like I mean minorities are like a really small percentage. That is like it manifests in like events like this, where like you see like literally like they don't have a lot of like diversity, and so like the racism that comes out of places like this is like it's a lot more like clean racism, like it's
Mhm.
like it's not filtering like propaganda or like little images or something. It's like no, they're just being racist. It's like pretty
Yeah,
easy to see.
and
It's
it's also for some reason it's part of their culture. Like I know that we live in a world where like it's more modern and we're less tolerant of that, but like that has been a thing in Europe for many, I don't know, decades. Like if you watch soccer fans are divided. You
Mhm.
go to the soccer stadium, you and you are a fan of the opposite team, you cannot sit like in a
Yeah.
in a
Oh yeah.
grandstand like with like
Mhm.
a t-shirt supporting the opposite team. Like they
Yeah.
they will kill you.
Yeah. No, that's something. I don't know. It's something that is like a culture over there of the type of thing happening. I mean, and also, and maybe for the Verstappen fans, they won't like to hear this, but like the Netherlands is particularly known for being pretty bad about race relations. I mean, they had like an actual racist Christmas figure that like does blackface, and
Oh,
like you see like towns of people like doing blackface, and like they're still very like reluctant to try to change this. I think that they don't have it anymore as much, but it's like there was a lot of like fights trying not to remove their little guy who only they celebrate. So I think the Netherlands is kind of a problematic place in itself, which also it's kind of weird that like I mean they're such fanatics of Verstappen, because Verstappen is actually from Belgium. Like if like I feel like more people don't know that, but he's actually Belgian. He grew up in the Belgian border, and like he barely like he will go over to race on the Netherlands sides very often, and he will have a lot of friends there. But like he really just grew up on Belgium as well. So I don't know. It's so weird that like they claim him. I mean, he's kind of self-proclaimed Netherlands, which I guess is fine. I mean, you know, Netherlands and Belgium are essentially like they're the same country. They're both tiny and they're both like next to France. So like who cares? But yeah, he's technically speaking is Belgian. Anyways, sorry.
yeah. I also want to
uh,
say that like it's not all the Dutch fans. Like I'm sure that like
mhm.
90, 95, 90, a big chunk of the Dutch fans are not like the
Yeah.
ones causing trouble.
Mhm.
But eventually you get to a big portion of people, like, like I can say, I don't know, I'm Colombian and I can say, oh, Colombians are so nice. But there's a point where, like, if I tell you, oh, 100,000 Colombians in one place, out of those 100,000, there's gonna be a portion that are not gonna be
Oh yeah,
the
they're
greatest
not
of
well
people.
behaved.
Yeah.
Yes, it's,
So
it's
so
unfortunate to
I'm
say, but it's true.
yeah, so I'm not trying to say here like, oh, it's all the Dutch people. I in
No, yeah,
any large group of people, there's just gonna be people that they don't know how to behave in public.
yeah, with some behavior issues. Yeah, but yeah, and I mean, and it's actually I don't know. I mean, the smoking itself is not that bad. The other like harassment things I don't know. That may be a little worse, but
Yeah, it's gonna. I don't know. I'm wondering how it's gonna look in Zandvoort.
oh yeah,
I think I don't know. I feel like it should be banned from Formula One. That they shouldn't allow, and I think it's already banned. So I don't know. I think the security at the events is not the greatest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe if they pay maybe they paid their
their people. Yeah, perhaps they will care a little bit more. But yeah, all right. I think we've covered everything. You know,
Yes.
next week is, or no, sorry, in 2 weeks. We have France, which I'm like ambivalent about. It's like a medium track. We'll talk about it next week. I mean, there's nothing to really say.
France never has issues with track limits or anything like that. So
yeah. All right.